To the November 5th, 2025 meeting of the City of St. Pete Beach Budget and Finance Committee. We call the meeting to order. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Member Polanowski.
Here.
Vice Chair Greiger.
Here.
Member Allen.
Here.
Member English.
Here.
Chair Semerechik.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Audience comments? We have no audience. Are there any changes, proposed changes to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Do I have to review each meeting minutes, or can I review them as one item?
You could do as one. You could.
Okay. I propose we accept, first of all, are there any comments on the meeting minutes?
I did have a question. Do I need to approve the one that I was not present for, the first one? Or how does that work?
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you're not present, you would be voting that you believe what they're saying to be true.
Thank you.
There's no comments. I propose we approve the Budget and Finance Committee meetings from February 5th, 2025,
I second the motion.
May 6th, 2025,
I second the motion.
June 4th, 2025,
I second the motion.
July 2nd, 2025,
I second the motion.
and July 18th, 2025,
I second the motion.
and finally August 20th, 2025.
I second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Discussion items. What worked well in the budget process, additional information the committee would like, or proposed changes? Comments?
Yeah, I got some comments. I think the process went really well, and Devin, you organized the workshops, and the only thing, and we realized you were new, you were trying to get the staff on the same team and pulling in the same direction, and just getting us a little data a little earlier, and I know that we can expect that to come, so we have a chance to study, come prepared to not waste your time or the staff's time. And I think that we have a good process. A couple of things that I wanted to comment on is I was looking at workshop number 3, and we were talking about ad valorem taxes. And at one of our meetings, I recall asking you to go ahead and tell us where our revenues were coming from. How much was penny for Pinellas? How much was residential ad valorem, commercial ad valorem? How much we got from the county and things like that. If we can keep that discussion there at workshop number 3, but I just want to ensure that our residents, our businesses, and everybody who watches these meetings know where our revenues are generated and what percentage are generated. Because I think a lot of people, I got a lot of comments that, hey, that was good, didn't realize Penny for Pinellas gave this much, didn't realize the county gave very little. So if that's on that meeting, then that's fine. If not, let's start the season out with your projection. And I leave that totally up to you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good call out, and you'll notice just on the budget calendar, 2 things. One is that the intent is to give you all the data and information with ample time to review, but also that gives the commission almost 2 weeks, because when we post it, they'll have that same information and data. The only change that they'll have from those two meetings is that they'll have your recommendation. I think there's certainly an opportunity, to your point, that in workshop number 1, we would be, after I've done our revenue estimates, that we'd be looking at historical financial overviews to include that revenue analysis and then our initial capital improvement plan. So we could do a really good deep dive at workshop number 1 of our revenue analysis. The reason why workshop number 3 is focused around the ad valorem tax analysis is that's on July 1st is when we get those tax rolls from the assessors, or the county, and that is where we have the opportunity to say, hey, here's our different millage options like we looked at this year. Since we don't have that information until the 1st of July, that's why I was recommending that we keep that ad valorem number 3 budget workshop focused on what makes sense for the city to pursue on the different millage rates.
Okay.
But happy to absolutely include just a really deep dive into all of our revenue options. The other thing that the mayor and the city manager has asked us to do in finance is start looking at revenue diversification or creative generations for some of our larger projects like the Don Cesar adaptations or any of those projects. So what opportunities do we have outside of our normal levers that we can pull with fees, with taxes and things of that nature? So we've set up a revenue working group, and we're going to start meeting to go through what those options are.
Okay.
So we'll bring that information as well as part of our revenue analysis to say, here are some opportunities that we might have outside of our typical revenue structure. So,
Do we have any comments about the time frame? Would we like information a week, 2 weeks, 10 days in advance?
I think probably, Devin, what do you think? Some of these, like you said, that one's based on timing of when you get the tax rolls and things like that,
So when I was creating the most latest calendar for consideration of this group, and then of course it'll go to commission for approval, the thought process was that we would have that 2-week time frame in between this committee. But the other thing that I did is I looked at when staff would have that completed. So in most cases, with the exception of that July meeting, just because of the timing of when we received the ad valorem information, it's anywhere from 10 to 14 days was my intent from when staff completes it to when this board would receive it. Does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
What if something changes within, will we get an update or do we just discuss it?
Yeah, I think we could certainly put an update and maybe at the beginning of the meeting, just for agenda changes and transparency purposes, I could call out what that is, but we could provide it to you ahead of time.
And quarterly reports, which are going to go to the commission, of budget versus actual, can we be copied on those?
Yes, yep. So we're in the area of developing those. I know it's not on our presented calendar today, but there might be a good opportunity for us to maybe have a meeting in February if the board's agreeable to that. And we could present what our fourth quarter report looks like, but also this is a great opportunity to just make sure what we outlined in the financial policies, that we were going to have a balance sheet, an income statement, budget to actuals. If there's anything else that this group would like to see, then we can develop those reports accordingly.
I want to say I appreciated your attempt at prioritizing things, so it made it a little easier to make a decision, you know, large, medium, small. I forget what the categories were, but that helped a lot. And then I really appreciated you educating me. I'm not sure how everybody else felt on the different funds and how they were used in, you know, each of the categories. That helped me to be much more effective and a little intelligent with my comments. And other than that, I loved having the managers in here and being able to ask questions, because a lot of times I get real-time questions in between meetings from folks, and it's nice to be able to gather clarity or gain clarity.
I agree with that.
Any new surprises on the horizon relative to budget or impact or You know, the fact that we've knocked down 30 or more houses in St. Pete Beach, with more being knocked down.
Yes, how many more than that?
Not that we're tracking to. We will have the parking study was brought to the commission at the last meeting, and then we are actively working on those fee studies. That might be another good opportunity if this board is willing for the February meeting to review
about the
some
fee
of that,
studies.
the fee
Right.
study information.
Really
Right.
curious about that.
Yeah, because I saw the parking. There's a lot of options there, but I'd like to talk about all the fee studies.
Do you add anything?
The only, when you say budget surprises, if the state legislature makes any changes to ad valorem homestead exemptions, that could significantly impact our revenue. So we are starting to look at replacement strategies. What are the impacts to St. Pete Beach? Off the top of my head, I think it's about 30% of our revenue would be instantly gone.
Really
So it's about 5 to 6 million a year. That's
big.
relatively catastrophic for a city our
Yes.
size. So we are trying to determine what that would actually look like if it were to happen.
But are there things proposed to offset that you know of?
There's a whole slew of different ones that have been brought up by different senators and representatives.
Yeah.
Some of them have been increase the homestead value from 50 to 100,000. Some of them are completely eliminate property tax for homesteaded, but and others were like the 3% Save Our Homes would be over 3 years rather than annually, and that avoids the compounding of the tax. Some of the other recommendations were that you're going to take the commercial, which can go up 10%, and raise that to 15% to offset it. So there's different proposals that are out there, and I heard the governor say that if needed, he was going to call a special session so that this would go into effect, and listen to some of the offsetting cases. But his whole thing was that property taxes have gone up, have doubled in 10 years. And he says, I don't think Floridians are getting the services of those increased taxes. So we wanted to provide relief for homesteaded individuals and place that burden more on secondary homeowners and things like that, and the commercial properties.
Yeah, is there tourism in there at all to help offset in the sense of more taxing or something for them?
No, because that can't be used for infrastructure currently as that tourist development tax is written. The state can change that, and that's one of the things that I think would be talked to. And I've shared that with Linda Cheney and Bernie Jacques, Adam Adamson, that, you know, we should look at expanding this, because that fund in Pinellas County is pretty significant.
Right.
And
we
when they were
should-
looking at $312,000 for the Rays Stadium, and they could annually make that, and they could fund the beaches, and they could give $25 million to the Dolly over 5 years, you started to look at that and go, well, wouldn't that be nice to put into the infrastructure? So I think that more people are becoming aware that the infrastructure on all the coastal communities are having a tough time. They are in decay. They're old. What is our 70 years old? It's not keeping pace with the capacity and the proposed expansions.
Right, and that comes all from above though, like from the county.
Well,
Well,
that
from
can't,
the state, then it goes down to the
the
county.
state would have to change that,
Change that.
that law.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So we'll be tracking that closely and most likely in February, be able to give some additional insight as they go back into session and see where, but there are a lot of ideas flying around.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
And I think
trying
there's a
to-
lot of good ideas to offset it, which would be nice. So,
We definitely should not, like, I mean, it's great to know everything that's going on, but for you guys, definitely don't focus on that. That's going to be a waste of your time, because what you're focusing on will probably change just like that. So,
I imagine too, just based on experience in government in general, that if they were to do a quick implementation, they would have probably thought out replacement strategies just as quickly versus we're going to implement this over several series of fiscal years, and they give entities time to prepare.
Right. It's not like
Generally,
they're
there's
just gonna
not
pull
a
the rug
pull a ban-
underneath
yeah,
us.
so-
Exactly, say, by the way, you just lost 30% of your revenue.
But we try to
without
plan
options.
for the worst and hope
Okay.
for the best, just so we're on both sides of the, and that's why the fee studies too, I think we've expressed to you, trying to right-size the management of enterprise funds, which are fee-based versus ad valorem, which is tax-based.
Yep.
And your taxes are subsidizing enterprise funds right now, so we're even trying to right-size our own fund structure.
Yep. Yep. I love that.
Any other comments?
Yes. It seems like during every workshop, we have all the department heads here, and I watch some of them, just, they're here, they really don't have anything to contribute, and I leave it up to the city manager to determine the topics that we're looking at in the workshop, and they're your folks. I know that we usually have questions for public works, sometimes the chief and that, but I know the other might be better utilized back doing their job, not just sitting here listening to us debate things like that. So I would say it's not mandatory unless somebody else thinks so, that all the department heads attend every meeting.
Well, they could also be on call.
Yeah.
If we have a specific question. I mean, they're all, no, they're not all in the building, but,
But
They're all
to your
attainable,
point,
but they're all
there's-
reachable.
yeah, they're.
There's some topics that we know are gonna be hot topics, and Cameron tends to be the guy on
Yeah, the
point all the
capital
time.
improvement, we know that's gonna be, we're gonna need Cameron here and things like that the rest of the time.
You're way nicer than me. I'll take that under consideration, absolutely.
They'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I was a little confused all year long about what a balanced budget is in our eyes, because the way that we defined it, I'm not sure if that's a balanced budget or even sustainable. What is our definition of a balanced budget?
So the balanced budget definition would be that with reserves and revenues, that our expenditures are not exceeding that. We know in our fiscal year '26, and this board is aware that we did tap into a lot of our reserves to try to complete a lot of those capital projects. One of the things that we'll be looking at too with our revenue working group is a 10-year revenue forecast, because obviously we can't sustain dipping into those reserves every year.
Can we redefine it? Because it seems like a balanced budget would be revenues equals expense,
Yeah.
without the fund balance.
With fund balance aside, I mean, we're gonna get to a point, hopefully, where the funds are supporting the funds. And then budgets, act what we spend. Right.
Versus revenues. Yeah, and I understand we dip into it because of capital items, we have to do that. And there's some years that will, hopefully, that we'll be able to acquire some wealth for the city to be able to use that down the road a little bit. But I want to make sure that if we have to dip into our fund balances, that is unsustainable. And I know we talked about guardrails before. We just want to make sure that those guardrails are up, because, if we lose, we don't want to go bankrupt. We're not going to go bankrupt if we have guardrails up.
I think the current guardrail is 25%.
So 25%, and then we added an additional 10%, just because we know what the cost of Helene and Milton was. So we want to be able to have that available in the reserve in the event that, we have another one of those or two of those catastrophic events.
Is there any possible way that, do you guys have lease abstracts, like a synopsis of the leases that we have as lessor?
Yes, so you're probably, are you thinking about like Paradise Grill, for example? Yep. Yeah, we would have all of those for our GASB 87 reporting that we have to do on an annual basis. So we'll be pulling that information for our auditor's consideration here, and since we're in audit season, so that'll be very soon.
And should we have the ability to look at those or have that information? I think it's important. And then who do the auditors answer to? Who do they report to?
The auditors should report to the city commission, just to keep that separation from staff. Right now, obviously, I'm their point of contact, but if they're, what I'm used to is that they'll do, and I came in kind of in the middle of audit season last year, but typically they'll do conversations with the elected officials, with other staff, just to rate, just go through any concerns or anything of that nature that they may have, but
Okay.
the engagement letter is signed by the city commission.
Who would have a list of all the city parks and the street addresses?
Do we have a list of those?
Yeah, somebody in the city must have a list of our, I think we have over 50 parks. And I would just be interested in seeing that current list.
I'd love to see that list.
Well, my thought is, do we really need all these parks? Is there any opportunity, I brought this up in the past, for these things, any of this property to be sold? Because some of it's high value on the water.
Actually, yeah, a couple come to mind and they're never used, where
Well, that's the thing.
some people are going to be asking for parks that are well-deserved, that could be used, and kind of adjust.
There's some parks that appear never to be used.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so I just throw that out every once in a while. I know it would take quite a bit of maneuvering to sell a city park, but it may be a source of income if we need it. I don't think we need 56 parks. I think 56 was a number that was thrown out at one point.
We do have that list,
Okay.
and we can
Thank
get that
you.
out to the group.
Do we have an Excel spreadsheet of all our capital items that we've approved this year?
As far as for the 2026 budget?
Yes.
Yes, yep.
And this is more of a discussion than a recommendation, but do you think it would be appropriate to post that in our finance page? Because I get a lot of questions about that. That is the thing that most people ask about. They could care less about the operating budget. It's the capital items. And it's just so they have, and everybody has a different reason why they want it. It's just, they can't get to it. They can get to the PDF on the bottom of our annual budget, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, we could certainly produce that. The other thing that we've been working with as part of our strategic planning process is taking an ArcGIS mapping model so we could place each project that the city's working on in a capital project, and then you'd have the option to see what the budget is, status updates on that project. And so I know this group had asked for a mapping of the CIP, so that's in line with,
For example, exactly where pump station number 4 is. Good. It's a good idea.
I have a couple more questions about that too. So could we also post like a more update on an updated basis? Because I know before you got here, it took us a year and a half, maybe even 2 years to get the budget, to get the financial statements finalized and posted. And I think that's too long for the residents to wait to see, preliminary financial statements. If we can post like preliminary financial statements, and we all know that if there's something materially wrong with it, that we'll get a management letter anyway, and that'll be posted. So there's really no risk to doing that. I think. What's your thoughts on that? You can think about it and get back to us later.
yeah, no problem. I think, are you asking for more than balance sheets and income statements?
No, I'm updated balance sheet and preliminary balance sheet and income statement, either on a quarterly basis. I'm just more worried about an annual basis, so they don't have to wait a year and a half after the year closed in order to see what happened there to our city.
So part of what our financial policies would be that balance sheet, income statement, budget to actual
Quarterly
on a quarterly report
Good.
basis.
Posted on the website?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
My next thing for that is, there's two different ways to get to the finance part of the website. One of them seems to be broken. If you go into government and then budget, it's incorrect. It stops at 2022. But if you go into government, department, finance, and then budget, it's correct there. Is there any way we can get IT to get rid of that?
Oh, sure. I'm sure there is.
And then my last question on that is, do we ever have an update on the 501c3 status? I know the lawyer was looking into it, because I'm still getting the same thing from all the residents that talk to me is, we want to contribute towards the shuffleboard, we want to contribute towards, a park, we want to contribute towards this. And it'd be really nice if they could get a tax write-off. I think that we would have to set some sort of organization up for that. But did we ever get an update from our attorney on that?
I recently, just as part of this revenue diversification strategy, had asked about what our options are. It looks, I'm not an attorney, but it looks like from the Florida statutes that it is something that the city can take advantage of. So just waiting on that legal opinion. The other area that we were looking at is if we have any opportunities to do like public-private partnerships. Typically those are for more glamorous projects than, a sewer or wastewater project, but it is something that we should absolutely explore as part of our revenue diversification strategy. So, but as soon as we have that legal opinion back, that'll be definitely one of the levers we're looking at for revenue diversification.
I like that, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, our meeting notice, May, June, or May, July, July. It's 2026, not 2025, just,
On the website.
Just on this, yeah, it just has the wrong date.
Okay, we'll correct that.
It's just a draft, and if you want to add February, we can add
I
that.
say, let's do February. I would like that. I think it'd be a long time between now and April, and also there's some things that we can discuss for sure. Especially the things that we just said, yeah.
So we're working on going back to the leases, we're working on a major lease right now with the pier, right?
For Mary Pier?
Yes. And is that an RFP process?
So their current contract provides for a 5-year extension.
Uh-huh.
However, they're asking for amendments. So if the amendments are significant, staff is currently looking at the procurement process that we may have to go out to RFP. If it's not significant, then staff could administratively extend the lease.
Okay. And that would be just a 5-year extension that's built into the lease that they have the right to, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have any more major leases coming up this year?
Can I get back to you on that?
Suntan Art Center.
I'm not sure when they're coming up. That's why I just want to double check.
And I know I brought up, should we, instead of doing the RFP for the actual properties, should we be doing an RFP for like CB Richard Ellis or JLL or Cushman Wakefield to represent the city? That way we might be able to get not a better tenant, but a tenant that fits what we need a little bit better, because it's a timing issue. It seems like a lot of it's timing issues.
Yeah, I just need to check on timing, and then if we were to use a broker and it were to exceed my spending authority, we would need to do an RFP, which is $25,000. If it were less than that, we just need to do quotes. So we would just engage in the 3-quote process that we have to document. But I need to see, we don't have very many, I mean, in the big grand scheme of things, we don't have dozens of leases.
Right.
So from my understanding, the prior leases were generally handled in-house with the assistance from the city attorney's office. So I'll just have to evaluate the complexity of the RFP and whether or not that expertise may or may not be needed, but it's definitely something to consider.
And if the Tennessee there is the best thing for the city, like, I know the bait shop, this is just me. I know you guys.
This is Mary
Pass
Pat.
it. Yes,
I'm
pass it,
hearing a
girl.
personal
I've never been
experience
in bait shop before. I went in one time and I walked out.
Well, they sell fresh fish too.
They sell fresh fish too?
They used to.
I thought
they
that John's
don't.
Pass was the only place. Well, regardless, I only went in there one time and walked back out. So,
Well, we probably don't hold them to a standard of no smell if they sell bait.
Floored, yeah.
Oh, the bait box was in my front yard after the hurricane.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, Captain
wow.
Captain Randy and I lifted it up, tried to get it into the back of a pickup.
so, like, would you consider them the best use for that space?
I think people love fishing. Not just the bait shop, but the whole idea of having the license sponsored by the bait shop and having the people fish. There are kids there that just have so much fun.
Okay.
And they laugh, they watch the boat, the Miss Pass a Girl come in with
Mhm.
fish, and but although that's changed a little bit too now with the passing of Captain Randy. But they watch them fillet the fish, and the pelicans respond, and it's a fun thing for families.
It's an event, yeah.
See, that's something I never knew they did there.
Yeah, and they ran the shuttle out of there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Monkey shuttle, yeah,
The-
3 times a day.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just,
You ought to get out a little more,
I
Tim.
need to get
Yeah.
out of there. I just ride my bike by there, and I went in one time, and I was like, okay, and I walked back out. So I gotta.
Maybe we could get a jet ski rental.
oh
I
yeah. sure.
actually thought about that. That was because when I was first coming down here for visiting, that was one thing that was missing was a jet ski. You had to go on the other side up by the trade winds and way up here,
Yeah.
opposed to down there.
Treasure Island, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a good question. Does it fit the community?
Yeah. And it might. It's just.
And maybe it
Oh,
offers
yeah.
more than you thought,
The
too.
Yes.
the tours, way back when the hotels used to rent jet skis, the Serrata trade winds, right in front of the hotel on Gulf side.
Yeah.
You name it, they had lots. I don't know if that exists today. The hotels renting jet
They
skis.
did 3 years ago, but I don't know about now.
But a jet
On the
ski
beaches
at
itself?
Mary Pier
Yeah.
would probably be very popular with the tourists
Yeah,
because it's very accessible. They don't have to go to a beach or park at a hotel.
it's safer, too, yeah.
Anyway, it's just a thought.
Yeah. So it's not only just the bait shop. Are they utilizing it correctly? Like, is it too much space for them? Because I know they have that outdoor spot. That's probably where they clean the fish and everything. But maybe half a little part of it can be a window for jet ski rental, and the other half can be for the.
When they have a lot of snacks and stuff, so the people that go over to Shell Key or out on Miss Pass a Girl will get snacks and things in there, and they buy little shirts, and
So it works. Okay.
it seems to. Well, not right now, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Yeah. I want to make sure we discuss this before it kind of gets back into.
There's probably a place where you could rent jet skis
Yeah, I think.
in the existing space.
Yeah.
If the city would consider having a jet ski rental there. Probably not a bad idea from a money point of view.
And the activity there, I mean,
Yeah.
it would definitely,
And-
it's a little,
Residents of St. Pete Beach owned a jet ski rental at John's Pass.
Yeah, that's where I come.
Oh, really?
My
Oh, really?
neighbors, they just
Oh, I
bought
didn't
it.
know that.
I go up to John's Pass.
Yeah, they,
Because you got the sandbar there and
Yeah.
all the crazies.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
yeah. At your age.
My comments just aren't just for the Mary Pier. It's also for the other places like the Paradise Grills. I think
Right.
we leased both of those, right? And so on.
I think both grills are leased to one party. Correct, yeah, okay. Who's been there for years.
Mhm.
And they do a great job.
They do a great job.
They have a great draw for the other local businesses, and you look at what they've done, the improvements they put out there with the nice chairs and things like that. Have you been down there and
Oh, yeah.
seen the new ones?
I go down there too much.
And they're doing the nicest thing for the Historical Museum, which is not open yet because that's owned by the county, And we're waiting on a lot of things to be done to get the construction even decided. And so what they're doing is a roundup of your bill, and you can donate to the historical museum with that roundup. And they're giving the museum $1,000 a month about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's really neat.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's all I have.
Can you ask about the pier in front of my house?
The pier that used to be a pier?
The one on 7th that's still not fixed.
It's
Oh,
got the,
yeah.
big containers in front of it, or,
It's taped off still.
yeah. I still
Or does
see
it fish
people, see people walk around that all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're going past the safety tape.
Of course, they do it all the time.
And then the fishing is happening on the jetty on there, but there are fishermen there every day for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
The jetty at the end of Pasadena.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, that's very popular.
But
And
there are
unstable.
big warning signs all
Oh,
around. Do not go out here.
Of course not. And in Fisherman Park, there's warning signs, and they're totally ignoring it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of work that has to be done there.
I do have one more thing. I apologize, and I know I brought this up last time, and we said that we don't want to put one district against the other, but I know that that bell has rung already. But I think we should put on the website is what our strategy is for our capital items, because a lot of people see where the capital items are, and they don't understand how we got there. And
That
that's why-
map that we just talked about
Yeah.
will show exactly where in the city the capital projects are.
But let's just say that it shows a lot of them are in Pass-a-Grille, and very little of them are, I'm going to say, in District 2. Just pretend that that's
Yes.
it. People are going to be, from District 2, are going to be, sharpening their teeth for Pass-a-Grille, for District 4. And what we want to do is, what I think we should do is probably put, the Budget Committee looked at fundamental first, like how we discussed it. Because there's different ways to do budgets, as we discussed before, is like you have an epicenter and you go out from there, or you have little mini spots and then you grow them together, or you do what we did, which was work on foundational and resiliency first, and then we go from there. And I think if we communicate, because that's never been communicated, and I get that a lot when I go to the meetings, is how come Pass-a-Grille's getting all this? I know Pass-a-Grille's saying, well, we're really not getting that much. So
Well, we are getting some. I mean, it's happening bits at a time. Like the big sewage trucks are down there now sucking out the sewers.
Again,
Yeah.
But there's only 10 people in the city that know why that's happened, or how that happened. Like, why are you getting a lot? And 5 of us are right here, 7 of us are right here, 8 of us are right here. But I guess we want to put it just so other people can find that very quickly. And we can just say, hey, if you go on to stbeach.org and click on finance, it shows you how we did this.
I like that.
Maybe if we, at our first meeting, make a proposal that when we explore our capital improvement projects, we're going to come up with our statement as to how we're going to evaluate the priorities for that. And that would be very important to have Camden in here and to help guide us on that, because as we talked about, if you got baffle valves and things like that, and you've got other kinds of things, they dovetail in, or one crosses the other out. So maybe that's worthwhile that we come up with our statement. This is the way the Budget and Finance and Budget Review Committee prioritized our recommendation to the commission. And that would require, like I said, Camden, all of us here to say, how do we look at this? And then we can rack them and stack them.
Yeah.
there's some past guidance that was published by finance historically describes the process, how you're supposed to evaluate capital projects. And remember the numbering system?
Yeah.
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 And how you evaluate the project based on all those different parameters.
What I hear Tim saying though, and I get asked, I've been asked once, was, why did you guys put this in front of this?
Yes.
So that statement that
Right.
here's the way we did this, just make a blanket statement as we go through that matrix so that we could refer people to that on the website. This is how they were evaluated.
Yeah, and the website, when you go into finance, it does have capital items, I think is a sub title, and it would be right under there.
So for the, excuse me, for the February meeting, would it make sense if staff prepared a preliminary capital project prioritization, like we had put as our financial policies, that we would bring that back every year just to have that be flexible and fluid? Because, as we've talked about before, hopefully we're not always in a recovery period, and it might be that we want to look at more enhancement projects. So we could put together a proposed capital projects prioritization and have this board react to it, give feedback, and we could make changes for commission consideration. Does that sound like that would be a good approach?
I think we could do that then, or you could do it at the April meeting as well, because we don't get to capital improvements until 5/12.
We control our own website, right? Like we can easily edit it. So we could, yeah, even if we do it in February, but even if we change it in July,
Yeah.
we can make the change, because like you said, our priorities might change by July.
I'd like to see it in February.
I would too. The sooner the better in the beginning of the year.
And it could be like, okay, let's get 4 statements together, or, and we figure out which the best ones that represents how we do this. But it would also have to be approved by the commission, I think, because they're the ones who ultimately say, yes, this is what you should be doing. But it'll stop a lot of questions that I'm getting about different districts. And hopefully unring that bell.
Would it be helpful if we, because we did have a process this last year, if we condensed it into a statement that was helpful for you all to communicate?
Yeah,
As like
sure.
this is what we did last year. Okay, so maybe we'll email it to you. Just say, this is what we think we did in an easy statement.
And let's make that an agenda item then on the
We
February
can do that as well.
meeting.
Yeah.
And so you'll have time to review it and then,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I like that. So will we know that February date today, or will you get back to us on that?
It would normally be the first Wednesday, which would be February 4th,
4th?
if that's okay. And we were doing the workshops at 2:30. Do you want the 2:30, or it's up to you all, 2:30 or 3 o'clock?
2:30 is fine with me.
Yeah.
What's good for the city?
Okay.
2:30, whatever.
Yeah, I'm good with, 2:30 or 3, it doesn't matter to me.
I'll do the 4th at 2:30 and
Okay.
update the list. Thank you.
February 4th, 2:30.
That's all I have.
I was gonna say, Tim, you got anything?
That's it.
You always got great questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not for me.
I don't think so either.
Okay. Any questions? No. Adjourned.